Okay, folks, it is, of course, the Kev and Pickle Show, and it is interview time again. This time, I am honored to welcome, first of all, a local man, okay, but this is a man who has been described as being better than Senna and Schumacher. He's the greatest racing driver that you probably never even seen. He has his own documentary show on Disney Plus at the moment called Crash and Byrne. It is, of course, Tommy Bourne. Tommy, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No bother. Kev, fire away, man.
Tell me, it was from the documentary you were born in the back of a car, but where did your love of speed and where does that passion for speed really come from, Tommy? As from watching the show,
it's something I think about. I think about it a lot because I don't know. Because when you're a kid growing up in Ireland, there was no go karts, there was none of that stuff available. Unless you had a bunch of money. So anything with wheels. Ever since I was just a kid, like 4 or 5 years of age, I loved the wheels. I loved taking my sister's bikes apart. And they get brand new bikes for Christmas. I'd take them apart the next day. I just loved all that mechanical stuff, and I wanted to be a mechanic. That was my goal: a welder mechanic and go to America. That was my goal in life.
And so, growing up, you're Hagerstown, isn't it, originally?
Blackrock, just right behind the Fairwoods Hotel.
Okay, so you're really close to there. Like as you know, like back when you were growing up, Tommy, things weren't easy around the town of Dundalk. I mean, a lot of stuff was going on around the town with the troubles and so on. Like to get out of Dundalk at that stage, it must be very hard.
It's not. I mean, I didn't even know what was going on at the time because I was like, I remember going up and down to Northern Ireland with Tony Sharkey in the back of his car, going up to our friends Richard Douglas in South Armagh, and then we drive up and down. And when I was like 13, 14 years of age, and it was just life. Just you didn't think. No, I was thinking in the back of the car. I was pretty scared at times, wondering who's going to stop us tonight because it's dark up there, 11, 12 o'clock at night coming back. But as far as all that, it just happens. I didn't leave Dundalk because of Dundalk. I left because of the weather.
It's lovely.
You did go to England after leaving Dundalk. It didn't get much warmer after that. Then you moved over to America then. But when you moved to England, Tommy, a lot of stuff took off you then, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, it was, as an example, I was in 1976. I was working for Joe McCardle fixing crash cars, and I went to the Mondello School, the driving school up there. There's only one in the country, obviously, and I did my 15 laps for £15 a punch at the time, and I was always going to be a mechanic, welder mechanic. When I worked in CRV, I was going to go to America. When I was 15, I knew what I wanted, and but when I drove that car for those 15 laps in the rain and spun 7 times, instead of me going to America to be a welder, I decided, well, I'll just become a race car driver instead. It was that simple. I had no idea, the ramifications or how hard it was going to be or any of that stuff. That's where it all changed.
And that's because no, go on, Kev. Sorry, no, go on.
And Tommy, as you said, like Mondello was only school for still in Ireland, really. Let's be honest about it.
That's huge. It's bigger than ever.
Yeah. And do you think that the reason behind that is why not many Irish people are making it to the pinnacle of race car driving? Is it because it is such a small country that we don't really look at it as a huge sport in Ireland? No.
Well, I don't know about that. A lot of the fans would probably disagree, but it's very hard these days. It's getting harder and harder because now it's just money. It's just so much money. When I did it, I didn't have to bring any money. I got there because I could win races, and these guys were selling cars at the time, so they needed people like me and Moreno and Derek Dale and people like that to drive the Formula Ford 1600s. They'd sell thousands of them, so they make a lot of money. So we had that back in the day, and we don't have none of that stuff anymore. It's like, but there is test drives. Red Bull and Mercedes and all those teams now have test drivers, so there is a chance, but it's difficult.
But do you think, Tommy, anybody from Emerald Isle could actually, at some point, Yeah, I know obviously when we had Jordan, you know what I mean? For example, we had like an Irish kind of company in that, you know, a race team. But do you think there's any possibility now with what we have in Ireland that somebody could get spotted, given an opportunity, and could even get remotely close? I know it's all money, especially now. And I know back in your time and on the documentary, it showed how much money was important. Now it's even more money. Do you think there's any possibility it could happen?
Oh, I mean, you can never say never, because
Yeah.
then nobody would, no people would not have the dreams.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, it's always possible. Anything's possible. There's no Formula One. There's no American driver in Formula One, and that's the biggest country in the world. So,
that's a good point,
I
actually.
was coming here. I was listening to a podcast, another podcast today, Off the Grid. Actually, it was, and then they said something like it was since Formula One started, there was 772 drivers, give or take, in forever, and 15% of those actually won races.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
that just gives you an idea how small of
a pool it is,
of a pool the whole thing is, and then it's even smaller to win races. You might be in there, but you might never win a race.
And based on those winners and those excellent drivers that have been in the past, I know you race against and raced, say, side by side and stuff went on with Senna, Schumacher and Hamilton. Like Schumacher and Hamilton, those were the three big names probably at the moment. But who was the best out of those, Tommy? That you see? And I know you probably had issues with Senna and so on, but like those three guys, who would be the pinnacle? I know Hamilton probably.
Well, between all three of them. Well, you see that. I mean, when I was younger, I thought the same thing. I thought just give me the car. But the guy, you know, he's won seven championships and he lost one, and he should have won 8. The comment. He's really, really good. You're right. All three of them.
Yeah.
Senna, Schumacher, and him are probably the 3 best drivers that ever came around. If you look at the facts.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, because I was going to ask you about that. You said there he should have won an 8, right? What was your thoughts on that final lap that year?
They just changed the rules, at the last minute.
It is that simple, though.
And very simple. They took it away.
Yeah.
And
there's a reason why Massey.
The guy got.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a reason why Massey's not there.
That's why he's gone. Massey was able. The problem was they were able to call him. The team managers were able to call him on his telephone. And when that happens, you got people, listen, you have to do this, you have to do that. And then all of a sudden the guy, he just probably wasn't thinking straight for a second, but here we go, And of course, Verstappen is one of those other, you might as well put him up there with Hamilton too, because
if he keeps going,
to win it.
He's
going to win a lot. He's going to win a lot of championships.
Yeah. He seems to be, Tommy. Like if I look at the documentary and what you're kind of talking about and so on, he kind of reminds you a bit of that kind of drive the car as much as drive for wanting to drive and at speed. He doesn't give a fuck who's on the track with him. It's like I'm going to beat you. I'm going to pass you. Doesn't matter. Get out of me fucking way.
Yeah.
Oh, we swear as well, Tommy. Just so you know, we do swear on the podcast.
He was on that case. In that case, he was fucking 17 when he started. Well, no, he was 17 when he got to Formula One, which is unheard of, and he was destined to be a Formula One star, and will be, because his dad, put him in. And the guy's a brilliant driver.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care what people think, because he's got everybody Red Bull 100% behind him, so he can do whatever he wants.
Right. So Formula One at the minute, endless amount of tracks. There's new ones popping up everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. Okay. If you're racing right now, is there a track, Tommy, that you could be like, oh, I wouldn't mind going around that one? Now, I know we're talking speed and that. Like Monaco, very different type of track, okay? But is there one track that you would just say, I could have a field day on that one?
Well, people keep talking about Portimao, which is over in Portugal. That's one of the newer ones. I guess the elevation changes are fantastic. And a couple of my friends from over here in America went and drove that one. I would like to drive around that track. It takes longer now. I did drive Coda a couple of years ago, the Formula One track, and the Porsche, the Cup car, because I still do driver coach and some driving, and it takes me longer now than it did when I was 21. That's for sure, to learn the track.
Yeah, well, that's a different type of car now.
It used to be like 5-10 laps and you're good to go. No, I need more.
Yeah, only getting started.
One of the hardest things to watch, Tommy, on the documentary is when you got behind the McLaren, and you did you broke limits and you broke Lauder's speed going around the track, and you kind of had a bit of a run in with Ron Dennis. Like he always seemed to me a bit of a prick anyway, based on watching TV and watching doing interviews with it. But he just seemed to be. Was it because of who you were, Tommy, or where you came from? Do you think that kind of standoffish came from?
Not really. I mean, no. I mean, not really at all. Because my writer who wrote my book, Mark Hughes, he had to talk to Ron.
Yeah.
About the throttle of why I didn't get full gas and everything on the throttle and why they sabotaged my test. And Ron said no. He goes, oh, the good old Tommy. He's oh, that was a long time ago since we heard about him. And I was just like nothing, like a lot of people to him. And he just said, oh, we just oh yeah, we didn't give him full throttle because we thought that he might, that was Nicky Lauda's race car. We thought he might damage it. And that's it. But he didn't. It was like I was just one of another thousands of people that he doesn't care. He didn't have anything out for me. That's just the way it is. There was nothing. I wasn't his guy.
Yeah, but what I don't get is you didn't have full throttle. I know that was said on as well and that, but you still did the same lap time 3 times in a row and broke the times of lads who I presume had full throttle.
Well, yeah, but they weren't giving me the right times either, so I didn't have to do 3 laps in a row. That was fake as well. But anyhow. It doesn't matter. That shit. I really.
Of course, yeah.
I'm kind of getting tired of it. But at the end of the day, I wanted to be a mechanic. I ended up being a race car driver. Did I work as hard at it as some of those guys? I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. But to get there is very, very hard. And you worked very hard. And a lot of friends helped me to get there. And once you get in a shitty team like the Theodore, 99.9% of the time. It's all over, and you're not going to get another chance. That's basically I got my chance. It didn't work out, so I went, moved to America. It took me a year or two because Eddie Jordan kept me in England for another year to hope maybe I had a chance of getting a Formula One drive with somebody else. But in that time, there was no test drives. Just wrong time, wrong place, and I didn't try hard enough. My friend Roberto Moreno, he went to America. He was getting paid $500,000 in America to drive, and he had a contract. He gave it up, went back to England, back to Europe to drive in an old shitty Formula One car just to start again because he loved Formula One so much. That's what he did. I didn't love Formula One so much. I just loved driving. I thought, hey, great way to make money. I didn't know any of those people in Formula One before I got there, which didn't help a lot. You're supposed to have heroes. I didn't have any heroes. So.
But you only had RTE and RT2. You didn't really have anything to see much after that. But you went to America, Tommy. You're still looking at. I think you're going to tracks and seeing, like little cars driving around, and you seem to have that buzz. There's nearly a spark in your eye, Tommy, to see little cars going around a track, to see that speed and the smell, Tommy. It looks that you just love that part of it, yeah.
It's no, I actually work. I worked for a kind of team in Chicago, Midwest Eurosports, and then I worked for a father and son team down in Miami, TLM Racing, and then I work at a school in Mid Ohio. So I'm still working, which I will be. But to be honest, some of that stuff is basically like it's like being on vacation and getting paid.
Yeah.
So it's great. Yeah, I'm enjoying driving now more than I've ever done in my life. It's fun. When I was doing it for business, it was never fun because it was always a struggle, to try and get to the next level and try and get by without somebody stabbing you in the back. Now those days are gone, and I've been pretty happy here for a long, long time.
Well, here's a random one, right? So obviously Kev said to me 3 months ago, maybe, right? He was like, Pego, I'm going to get a fella onto the show. I'm going to try my best, right? You probably heard of him. He's called Tommy Byrne. And I'm like, nope, I don't. No, I'm from the sticks. I'm from Dover, right? Same as Kevin. We grew up in the sticks, right? I'm like, nope, no idea. He's like, go watch Crash and Byrne on Disney Plus. And I eventually did. And I was like, there is no way we are going to have that man on the show. No fucking way. And he was like, no, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. So here's a question, right? I read a thing that you went to some Texaco Awards way back in the day, right? And you were sitting beside the guy on the bike, right? And people were like, oh, who? who was it? Stephen Kelly? Stephen? No, whoever it was. One of the boys on a bike, right?
I think that actually Joey Dunlop was there that time.
Right. So, why the hell in our town of Dundalk is there not a street? Is there not a corner?
Oh my God!
Or
something.
something? Because
you're embarrassing me.
No, but it's not embarrassing.
It's
showing a bit of respect to somebody who actually, as you said,
and my brothers and my sisters, my God, they would be horrified. and so would I.
Yeah, well, look, we'll put up something. We'll create whenever we move into a podcast studio, we'll call it like the Tommy Bone studio or something like that. So we will.
Somebody would deface it as soon as it went up.
No chance.
But it is, Tommy. Like a lot of people might know who you were, Tommy. Especially like I was telling my mother and father. My mother and father was around this kind of. My mother, I think, was in school with your sister. I think at one stage, but she was saying like, "Oh, Tommy," she's Kevin, wait to tell you about Tommy Byrne. And the stories kind of come out then of that age group, kind of knowing who you were, knowing what you did. But people don't really tell the stories as much, Tommy. And I don't know why that is. That because like, there's not many famous people around Dundalk. Okay, there's not many famous. Yeah, the Cores, you had Steve Staunton, and you probably had yourself, Tommy. There wasn't not many come out of around the town.
The fucking Cores.
So, Jesus. I mean, there's not many people come out of the town, Tommy. You know what I mean? So it is a good news story to get as far as you did, you know?
I just watched the Cores documentary over in New Zealand. Yeah, I think they were over in New Zealand or something doing a tour. It's pretty cool. I never met them before. But no, back in the day when we were growing up, I had they used to have a bus coming from where was the bus? Behind Morrison's house I had a bus coming, fans coming to watch me race. My friends were all
coming. Yeah. See that?
They even came to England.
Well, and I know on the show it says about how you used to come home. Now, obviously, you were coming home trying to fundraise for stuff like that, and you were needing millions. Let's be honest. We're needing hundreds of thousands. You're needing lots of money, and you'd be coming back with a few $100 or whatever like that, which at the time was probably still great to get. You know what I mean? Oh, some fantastic people in that. But like, it's annoying to think that it all shit like that all comes down to money, if you know what I mean. Like, because if you're good enough.
Listen, I went to a meeting in London years and years ago looking for sponsorship. And this guy, my friend Stan the man, he got me this meeting, and it was a big shopping center. And I'm sitting there and I bought a jacket, a suit and tie. It cost me like £120 or something. And then so I'm all dickied up and we went for this meeting. There was like 10 people around the table with little tea and biscuits and everything. And we were looking for $300,000 for the Formula 3 season. And I had my PR guy there, and Stan was there, and his wife was there, and everybody was there. And real fancy place. And then about 10 or 15 minutes into the meeting, they were talking about, the 300. Nah, I'm not too sure if we can do 300. We might be able to do 200 pounds.
Oh man!
They thought we were looking for 300 pounds. We're looking for 300,000 pounds.
My God!
And that's just one. That's just one story. I mean, we did another one there. We sent something off to Saudi Airlines and everything, and it cost like £1,000 just to get the picture taken. To send to this Arab guy, just went on and on and on. It's very, very.
You just probably we were too late for the Arabs, Tommy. If I had me now, you'd be getting a fortune off them. But it's a great story to be able to say to you. I know you got kids and stuff like that. But to tell your kids of what you did and what you got up to, and in behind the race car, it must be fantastic to.
Maybe not what you got up to. Maybe just the race car. We'll keep it just the race car stories, like.
Yeah, that is something else too. My son TJ, he works with me sometimes together, and we do driver coaching, and we'll drive together in the same car. And he's just finally, after years, he's finally went faster than me. So that's
brilliant.
There was a little clip in the documentary, Tommy. You going through it. There was a young driver beside you. You were showing him corners of where to turn into.
Yeah.
It was just that little details. I was showing a young guy how to do it. Well, it's how to do it the way it should be done. That's the insight that you have of a track and of how to do it. Must be fantastic to be able to pass on that information, Tommy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I've worked at the driving school at Mid Ohio for 27 years now, 27, 28 years. And when people go there, and when they're signing up to go, they want to know, am I working that day? Because I only do, I used to do 150 days a year. Now I do like 30 or 40 because I'm busy with other stuff. But a lot of people are asking, like, is Tommy working that weekend? And so I got a lot. I have a lot of. I got a lot of fans over here.
And rightly so. Like, that's the thing. But like, I suppose, look, I know everybody thinks the pinnacle of a career is getting into Formula One. I know, obviously, unfortunately, we're stuck in the fucking back hole of it. Okay, but you won the championship in '82, I think it was, as well. Okay, is there any exact like highlight, Tommy? You know, I mean, I know obviously people say, "Oh, I got the Formula One; it was great." Obviously, in this case, it wasn't great because of the team that you got shafted with, right? But is there any moment in the career itself? It could have been when you first started out. It could have been when you're in Formula 3. It could have been anything at all. It could have been in America. It could have been in Mexico, wherever. Was there anything that stood out for you just as a highlight of the career? Because I know you said in the documentary, you're happy with life right now. You're good. You're content with whatever happened in the past happened in the past. So, and rightly so. But is there any moment that you just look back and you go, I'm proud of that? That's something that
I mean, the McLaren test obviously has to be, has to be. I mean, if somebody said, "What was the best car you've ever driven?" Of course, it was Niki Lauda's McLaren. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It's just so. It's just yes. I mean, I will always think about that as obviously being one of the highlights. But remember, when I left here. I went to America. I started again over in America. I started in Formula Ford 1600, like I did in Mondello all those years. I started from the bottom and then got halfway up again in America. So I started again over here. So there's a lot of stuff, but the McLaren, to know, remember, even though I won 6 championships to get to Formula One, if I didn't drive that McLaren and know exactly how fast I was and I could have been, I could have went through the rest of my life like a lot of other drivers. I'm not the only one, by the way, that didn't make it in Formula One. There's thousands out there, but at least I know that. Hey, I know what I did in that car, so it makes me feel better. In myself. Rather
than wondering, you don't have that wonderment anymore. Like
exactly, and nobody else has that wonderment either. So that makes it feel good.
Yeah,
we talked about. I know we talked about money. There's a guy I used to work with, Tommy. His son's driving karts. He was driving karts over the last couple of years, and he's doing quite well around England and Europe and stuff like that. But like he says, he's coming up against these guys now. Like he's arriving in his dad's car, and his dad's a mechanic, and he's going through the car. These boys are arriving in helicopters, and the car's been coming in, and he turns up like he's turning up. The son's turning up at the racetrack, and he's these simulators going on the whole time. And it's like. He's now reached that pinnacle of where he can go to because all these guys are above him, and it's the wealth is amazing now. He said it's unreal.
Even at that
the
level,
go-karts the go-karts are out of control. The amount of money now that if you have it, they're going to spend it. So, the amount of money in go-karts is crazy. It's like Formula One was back 40 years ago.
Okay,
Jesus Christ. And it's cool. Like
and yes, they got the motorhomes. They got 5 go-karts and they got 10 engines, and they picked the best of each one to one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy.
Jesus Christ.
I'm happy. I'm happy working with the people I work with now. I work with the older, retired, rich people. I don't do the kids anymore.
Nice. I like that. It's a nice way of just kind of finishing it. Like, stick to the older kind of rich guys. So it is like, at least they can give you the money that unfortunately you couldn't fucking give you 40 years ago. So they can, like, hey. But no, look. I love the show though. I have to say, like I'm not a car buff, if you know what I mean, but I like racing. You know what I mean?
Tommy, he can't drive. He can't drive, Tommy. He's never learned how to drive. But Tommy, like even
doesn't matter.
You still driving. You still driving. You still love driving.
My father never drove either, ever.
Yes, neither did mine. And neither did my mom. My mom did there, but like, she didn't drive. There was nobody drove in it. I grew up in the countryside, right down the road from him, and nobody drove in our house. So, like, there wasn't, and it was an ideal place. You're in the country. Stick a car out in the country roads and learn how to drive. There was no fucking car. So there was no choice for me, like, you know what I mean? So there wasn't, like, but go on, Kev, what are we going to say there?
But it's fantastic of how you did it. Like, Tommy, we do a would you rather question on the show.
Jesus Christ.
And it's a would you rather. So, on the documentary, Tommy, on the book and so on, like, you
I presume you guys did not read the book, I take it.
No. If you can watch it, I don't read it. I'm one of those kind of guys.
Well,
Well, there's much more in the book.
There's much more in the book.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it.
The book's more real.
Okay,
Sweet.
But even Tommy, a lot of it, you had the fast cars, you had the life outside the car. Like, what was the better part? Was it the fast cars or the fast women? Did you enjoy both at the time?
It was kind of both. I mean, it kind of goes with the territory, you know. I just love to have a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm slowing down a little bit now when I get older, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed myself, you know, everything I did, and if there was women involved, that was fine, and if not, that was fine too.
Now, I know I obviously said it in the intro, Tommy, right? And it's what everybody has said. It's like a catchphrase or a tagline and all that for like the show and everything else. Well, I mean, better than Senna, better than Schumacher and all this kind of stuff. The greatest driver that most people probably never even seen or anything like that. When people say stuff like that about you, like, I know you're saying, look, you're all past all that kind of stuff now, but does it give you just an element of, I'm not being cocky here, but you're like, well, yeah, you're right. I was, but we don't need to go into that.
Well, no, I cringe whenever anybody says that, because I did not say that at the time. I knew exactly how good I was, and I wasn't scared of anybody. But I wasn't the one to say I was better than Senna or better.
Oh,
the guy's
no.
dead.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
He's got 40 million. He's got 40 million fans. That means there's 40 million people going to hit me when people say stuff like that, because it's just not. It's just. So I cringe.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't watch any write-ups I do when I do an interview with anybody. I never read it, and I never watch the podcast or listen to podcasts because I can't stand listening to myself.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on then, okay? Because I know for the last 3 months, that fella hasn't literally stopped talking about, I'm going to try and get him. I am going to try and get him on. So, Tommy, we've been bringing this up for like the last month, saying we are bringing somebody onto the show that is like the biggest guest.
And then especially whenever I dissed you guys a couple of times, and then you were sitting there 2 days ago, 2 days you're sitting there, and Tommy doesn't come because I fucking totally forgot, and the wrong day. And you turned around to Kevin and said, I told you wouldn't get him.
No, I had all the confidence in the world.
I mean, like, where did he go to? He must be having a good time. But no, Tommy, it's great to have you on the show. It's great to have a person like yourself from the area, especially, you know what I mean, to have you on the show. It's absolutely fantastic to talk to you. And what I'll do is I'm definitely going to buy the book and going to read through the book to see the stuff.
No, just send me your address on TikTok. My brother's got some. I'll send him over. He'll go get you one.
Oh,
that's great, Tommy. Thanks very much.
I'll take yours, Kev, then when you finish reading it in 3 years' time. So well, like, I'm sure I can read a book. I did used to once upon a time when I was 12. It can't be that fucking hard to read a book.
But just read the first chapter. That's all you have to read.
Perfect. Hey. Tommy, honest to God, man, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. And thanks so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me, and I appreciate it too.